Welcome back to ChristianLivingRadio.com. We are here with Joanne Pelcher of Unashamed by Grace. The new 2017 season is starting today. She's here to tell us all about what's going on in their ministry and what is in store for you this year. How you doing, Joanne?
I'm doing great. It feels so good to be back. I know we took a break at the holidays, and then we traveled across the country. Our son just graduated from Navy boot camp in Illinois, and we got to spend time with him. And so a combination of both of those events, I know we've been off the air for a while, but we're here and we're stronger than ever for 2017.
Amen. I'm glad to have you back. I want to know what's in store. What do you got planned? I know you've got some type of arsenal built, and there's some new things that happened during this break. Certification, I hear. Congratulations.
Yes. So actually, Christian Living Radio is the first to actually have this announcement made. We haven't even advertised it yet or announced it on Facebook or website. So ta-da.
Ta-da.
Christian Living Radio has the in on what's going on for Unashamed by Grace. We are now certified sexual integrity counselors, mentors. And Brian and I, we work with both men and women, married, singles, female addicts, men that are addicted. We actually are working with some teens. We help parents of younger children. We can help them as well. I've had people from our church reach out to us, some of the pastors who are getting people coming to the church with younger children that have been abused, that just need help. They don't know where to turn. And so we can't help all of them, but what we do have is a list of people and websites that they can go to get help if it's something we can't take care of. But just a couple weeks ago, someone had contacted the church, and they had two young boys who the parents just found out had been sexually molested for a long time by a family member. So that's not something that we can help in our ministry. But however, being in this field, we have a lot of different resources that we can send those parents to. So if anybody out there needs help with that, we can send you in the right direction. So please don't lose hope.
Amen. We're glad of that. So that certification, there's a lot that goes in with that, right?
There is, yeah. On a side note, at our church, if you're local here in Arizona and you need help, we do have a free class every week, every Sunday at our church. You would just call the church and ask for Unashamed by Grace information, or go to our Facebook page or our website. But it's a group of men and women who meet separately. And we have that available for people who are in Arizona. But for our certification, it's actually worldwide. And there's 3 different factors that we have in the mentorship program. And the first one is group mentoring. And we can actually do that on the phone or on Zoom conferencing. And so, the people that we do have, someone might be in New York, someone could be in India, someone could be in California. They're all on the group mentoring together. There is a fee for these 3 that I'm going to talk about, but it's more of a one-on-one, because with the class that we offer, it's a great class. It's free at our church. But, if people aren't committed, then sometimes that's where a lot of the programs across the country that different churches have, I won't mention the different ministry names, but you're in there with people who, I don't feel like going today. I'm not going to show up. Or, they go for a while and, I'm doing fine. And then they slip up. And so, right. With the mentorship program that we offer, there's people there who they're committed. They're there to get help. There is no, hey, I don't feel like going down to the church today and doing this. So the mentorship program that we offer by phone or by computer, we mostly do by computer, is you can do it at your house. You can do it in the car on a break at work, wherever. And it makes it a lot more convenient. But like I said, you're really paired with other people who want to get the help that they need. And then the second one, we also have virtual mentorship, where if, people that are just looking for a boost in their recovery maintenance plan, like just an example, Weight Watchers, that's something people commit to for their life, but they don't always have to go every single week once they've reached their goal weight. this is kind of the same thing where maybe somebody has maintained, free, abstinence for so many years, but they just need a boost in their recovery and in their life. And so that's where the virtual mentorship program that we offer is great. It's led by Brian or myself, depending on if it's male or female. And then the last one that is the most successful is one-on-one mentorship. And that, again, is done, usually computer or phone. That's done by Brian or myself. And so you're actually working one-on-one with a personally trained and recognized sexual addiction expert. And the rate on that, the success rate is over 50%. So the others are, typically less than that. But with the one-on-one, the success rate's over 50%. So that means that male or female, they've experienced long-term sexual sobriety and freedom from sexual addiction and, for many, many years. And that one seems to work the most. That has the highest success rate. So if that's something people are able to do, it doesn't take, much time out of your day, but, you can actually get your life back, get your family's life back, get your world back on track. And that's something that we're here to offer.
Great.
Well, there's something about putting money to something.
Exactly.
That you own it.
Right. That's a lot of it too. Not just being with like the group mentorship program. Like I said, you're with other people they're in it to win. They're in there to commit to this. But with the one-on-one, you're actually working with someone, being Brian or I, who we've been through this. We're like your guide. You're going up a mountain. You don't want to just go with other hikers. You want, a Sherpa guide to take you to the top, someone who's been there, who's had success, who knows what they're doing, who knows where the places are that you're going to stumble, and who has proven track record of success. And so that's why the one-on-one mentorship program works.
How long is when they come into your program? Is there a set time limit, or is it indefinite, or as long as they feel the need, or what are you seeing now? Because you've been in this a couple years, and your ministry's growing. What are you seeing? Is people just staying on and telling other people, hey, this is what's going on, and they're really helping?
That's a great question. It all depends on the person, of course. What they put in it, you're going to get out of it. But we've seen some people start strong, just like at the gym. People start strong and then they fall off. It's where that person's heart is. You have to be ready to say, I'm done. I'm done living this secret life. I'm done wasting my family's resources on something that's not benefiting my family, that's actually a deterrent. I'm done living with shame and guilt, and I want to be free of this so I can grow as a Christian. And because, when Christian or non-Christian, it is hard for personal growth when you're struggling with something like this. Because of that shame and guilt that sets in, it's just a vicious cycle to where you can't really move forward in your life. So the typical process is between 2 to 5 years is the studies that have been done for over 25 years. But, there's some people at 2 years that have recovered. There's some that, it takes a little bit longer. It's just like with anything. It depends on the person.
Depends on the person, yeah. So now you're seeing, we talked before, you're seeing more men in this thing, but it's starting to evolve into other areas, correct?
Yes, we've actually, remember a few months ago on your show, we had Crystal Renault of Dirty Girls Ministry.
Yes.
And once we posted about that and your show went live, we had women contacting us who for years hadn't said anything because they thought, it's just a man's, it's just a man's addiction. Well, it's not. The women's rate of addiction is actually starting to rise to where it's almost mimicking the men's numbers. And so it's because that stigma, where you don't always think, women are going to be addicted. We're just too busy, right? We're just too busy being moms and doing laundry. And well, that's not true. We have stress too. Our stress might be different than the men, but women are actually, getting addicted. And the biggest thing too with men and women and teens is there's 3 factors that actually contribute to internet porn addiction. Is the one, of course, it's the affordability. It's free or cheap, usually free. The accessibility, because you can access it anywhere. We've had people, even at schools where they found ways to get around things, pornography, at work, workplaces a lot. Where a lot of times now workplaces will actually make you sign a document saying you're not going to be using the computer at work for anything other than work because of all those issues. And, of course, at the home, in your car, whatever. And then the last thing is no one has to know what you're doing because it can be done in privacy. So it's called the AAA engine. All three of those factors actually lead to an internet porn addiction. So we've seen it, like I said, both men and women. And the women, I actually have someone that I'm meeting with today, actually later today, online. It's online mentoring. And we're coming up with a program for her because she's been struggling for so long. She's been in the military. She's been struggling for so long. And she finally decided, 2017, I need to take my life back. I'm a grown woman. I've got things that I want to accomplish, but I'm not able to because of this addiction that's been pulling me down.
Yeah, I've noticed the terminology of taking your life back. This really gets rooted into you, and you lose who you are, who you really are.
Right.
And so this is a true addiction. And illness, would you say it's a sickness?
Yeah, well, it's just like pornography in any form is not good. Just like, I wouldn't suggest using cocaine now and then. Cocaine is bad no matter what, right? So it's the same with pornography. Once in a while is the same thing. It's not good. You never know at what point it becomes addictive. And some people say, well, I've looked at it just out of curiosity's sake. And then I'll ask them, have you looked at it again? Well, yeah, I have. It kind of pulls you in. It's one of those things that just, pulls you in, and you can become addicted very, very quickly. So obviously the best preventative measure is don't look at it. But, those that contact us or that, might hear us on the show that have already gone past that, you need to have help. It's just not anything that you can stop on your own. It's very, very, very rare if you hear someone stopping on their own. It takes someone who's been through it, your personal story, to be able to say, hey, we've done this, we've overcome, and it's possible to actually free your mind from those images, and not just the addiction, but to just completely free your mind from that for the future.
And, I know this is a process, and the freeing of the mind it's all a process. And is there like a step program, 1 through 10, 1 through 12? Is there like an AA meeting or?
Well, yes and no. There's programs across the country that are like AA, and most of them don't work. And those people end up calling us or contacting us because with a lot of those programs, it is like AA where, each week, I slipped up. Okay, I'll pray for you. All right. Hey, I did good this week. Oh, that's awesome. The next week, there's no recovery process. It's just a week by week. How you doing? It's kind of accountability, just checking in. But if you don't have a roadmap to get to success and restoration and healing, it's not going to work. So we have a lot of people who contact us that have been through those programs and say, I go week after week, but I keep messing up. I don't want to mess up anymore. So there is a different way that will prevent people from having those slip-ups. So as far as with your question, as the process, there is, but it's more of a personal process. It's like peeling away layers of an onion. You really have to get to the root of what it is. There's like two groups, if you want to call it that. There's sometimes an older group, an older generation, or even young too, but a lot of it comes from a wounded heart. You have to really get to find out what that wounded heart is. How did that happen? And it's a painful process. A lot of times people use pornography for stress, to relieve stress, or to cover up the pain. So when you start really digging deep and finding out why do I even do this, it can be more painful at first to find out because you've been covering it up for so long. But once you start peeling those layers back and really digging into that wounded heart, that's where the recovery process can start. Then we have the second group, like someone that just contacted us 2 days ago, who is a young adult, and they don't have a wounded heart, right? Theirs started just like the AAA engine I talked about, where they just stumbled upon it out of curiosity, started looking at it. It was free. They could do it, in the privacy of their own room, whatever. And now they're addicted. So it used to be in years past, it was just because of, using it to numb the pain. But now we have a different generation that's using it just because they stumbled upon it on their phone. So that's why we're advocates of, apps on your phone. We're ambassadors with Covenant Eyes. We've said that before. Put it not just on the adult's phone, but on the children's phone, because that's where we're actually growing up a generation of sex addicts because of the kids are finding it on their phone.
Right. And that leads me into a break in our segment, because this is going to be real good. We're going to take a brief pause for the calls here. We're going to take a brief pause for the calls. And we'll be right back with more Unashamed by Grace.
Hey, this is AC Green. You're listening to Christian Living Radio.
Much more than just Christian radio. It's a lifestyle. We left off talking about addictions and how it's becoming an epidemic. So my question to Joanne is, how would a family member know if someone is struggling with this or has a problem?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of times God allows the spouse to find something. So where maybe the person hasn't decided, hey, I'm enough of this, I want to stop. It's God allows an intervention, if you want to call it that. Okay. So that happens quite a bit. And we are going to have a short testimony here in just a few minutes with Jeremy, who will give his testimony on that. But some of the things to look for, whether it be spouse, your child, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of different reasons, but some of the big ones are if the person's spending an excessive amount of time online. We had just a quick example. Someone that I know contacted us, and they were babysitting their niece who was, I don't know, maybe 12. And they said, gosh, all day long, she was on her phone. So finally she'd come downstairs and in disgust threw the phone on the sofa. So this lady went down, got the phone, just to look at it, and this girl had been spending all day looking at pornography, all day. Yeah. So that's just an example. But if your teen or grown adult is, where you can actually see they're not playing video games or something, watching TV, but actually kind of secluded, that's a good idea. Also, if the internet histories are empty. Now, I'm someone who, I put away everything. Our house looks like a model home all the time because I can't stand messes. Well, the same thing with my phone. Periodically, I just clean it up because it bugs me. Nobody's going to even see it, but it just, excessive messes bother me. Right. Well, but we're talking about something different. So, internet history, if they're always empty, that's a really good sign, because there's no reason for someone to clear their internet history. Like I might do it every 6 months. We're talking about if someone's constantly clearing their history on their phone or computer. That's another biggie. Yeah. And then another one too is maybe this would be for an adult usually, but the financial patterns have changed. So maybe unexplained charges on credit card statements or the bank statement. Maybe they opened a new bank account, and you become aware of it. And also, too, this doesn't have anything to do with finances, but I know someone recently found out their spouse opened a separate Facebook account, found it on the email. That's usually a sign, too, because even if you don't have a intermingled Facebook account with your spouse, but maybe you do have separate ones, you would know if they were going to open another one. They would usually tell you why they were doing that. So a secretive Facebook account under another name that you don't know about. People becoming critical, all of a sudden becoming critical of your appearance, wanting different things. maybe sexually that they didn't in the past. There's a lot of different reasons, but just patterns that are outside the norm that you're used to seeing.
Wow. Well, we do a lot of that, is stuff that it goes unnoticed sometimes. So we need this awareness of it. But it isn't, in a way, when you look at it and hear you talk about it, these are kind of some obvious traits.
Yeah, and we all go through seasons in our life change, and maybe I'd be on the computer more for our business or whatever, but if my husband would see I'm on the computer for my business, you got to look at the patterns. If I'm going upstairs into the office and kind of hiding and being antisocial, that's a big one too. Antisocial, because you're being secluded, you're on the phone or you're on the computer and you're not wanting to spend time with your family, or you're taking away time from your work, your school, your family to, be on the phone or on the computer. So you just kind of have to look at the patterns, and not to make anyone paranoid, but just to go, oh, hey, do a check once in a while and say, something's different. And then kind of go down the list and go, okay, gosh, you know what? I've seen those things. Maybe I need to think about that a little bit more.
Yeah. A lot to think about with this thing. Well, we were in break discussing discovery. And you and Jeremy were talking, and he was mentioning some things that happened with him.
Yeah, this was an example of how God allowed, this to finally come to light. Because sometimes, just like with a lot of things, we don't really want to stop certain things, but if someone intervenes, and then we, kind of wake up and go, oh yeah, you're right. So, Jeremy, so glad you could be here today.
Absolutely. It's always fun to have. It's always fun to be on. The one thing that, the one big thing that comes to mind, it wasn't a same day issue. It was a slow process. Casting Crowns came out with a song saying it was a slow fade. Mm-hmm. That was pretty much how it went. It was a slow deal. It started with pictures and went into where I was actually paying for it. Mm-hmm. My wife, I kept it hid for a long time, with making sure, like you said, with internet history cleaned and stuff like that, and or blaming it on somebody else because somebody else had my equipment every once in a while. And, so she would look at it periodically, my stuff, and she would catch something. And I would always push it off. Until finally something happened where I hadn't had anybody with any of my equipment for 6-8 months.
So there was no denying it this time.
Right, there was absolutely no denying it. And so, with all that time, I had become an angry person with her more than anything. Not necessarily anybody else. Pretty much everybody else in my life would have never known. But my wife did. My wife knew because of that. She knew that because of I was actually, like I said, I was being secluded. I was actually going into my office and doing things, and my office was a secluded situation. I mean, I shut the door and nobody was around.
Yeah.
Even in a church setting, I could shut the door. Nobody was around. It didn't matter if it was a church or not, because in my mind it was a selfish situation. Mm-hmm. It was for me, and so it all came down to where my wife had found it again, and she finally come up and said, "Hey, my intervention was my wife and my kids." She said, "Hey, if you don't, this is it. You're either going to fix this or you're out. Mm-hmm. I'll kick you out, and you'll never see your kids again." And that, for me, because I'm a very big family person.
Yes, you are.
That was it. I was like, forget that. Okay, well, it isn't worth that. Mm-hmm. No matter how much that feels, no matter how much that is good for me, in my mind, it is not worth losing that. And I dropped it.
Let me ask you a question. You talked about anger, because I have a lot of people who, reach out to us, and a lot of times it's the male, but the male is angry. What can you just give a little insight into that for maybe some of the women that are listening? Why was the anger turned toward your wife?
Because she found it. Mm-hmm. Because she invaded my personal space. Mm-hmm. And, that was the one big part of it, that she invaded my personal space, and she is now accusing me at that point of doing something wrong, even though in my mind it's not wrong for me. It's okay for me because it's all right. I'm not going killing anybody. Mm-hmm. I'm not bringing anybody.
So you're justifying it, right?
Yeah. There's a justification to it, and yet it in my mind is okay. So since it's okay, why is it a big deal? Mm-hmm. Why are you doing this to me?
Well, on a side note too, I want to say, because I've had a few people ask me, usually the male will say, well, yeah, kind of like that. Well, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not doing this. It's not,
right.
I'm not having an affair. Well, yes, you are, because those pictures online, the pictures in a book, wherever, that's someone's daughter.
Absolutely.
That's someone's granddaughter. That's a living person.
Yep.
So that's adultery. So, yes, you are hurting someone. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your family. You're hurting your children.
Well, even Jesus said it. Said if you even look at look on mm-hmm. a lady too long, you're already committing adultery. So that's just how it goes. With that, it felt like that she had come into my realm and accused me of something. Accused me of tearing her heart out, basically.
Sure.
And being a family guy, and having an issue with that was, oh no, I can't be hurting you. There's no way I can hurt you on that.
It's kind of like, because with a lot of people we talk to, sometimes the person doesn't realize the damage that they've been doing to their spouse. They just think, like you said, where it's just me, it's my little world, my little bubble. How can it possibly hurt you? But then when they wake up to the fact that, oh my gosh, like you said, you ripped your wife's heart out, you have been hurting that person, that kind of is a wake-up call to
Absolutely.
A lot of people, to where they finally break through that wall to where it used to just be that little bubble they were in, to realizing that they have been hurting someone and they don't want to do that anymore.
Absolutely. And my wife, it had hurt her so bad that it took somewhere around about 4 years before she could actually say that she trusted me. Mm-hmm. And that was huge for me. And even to a certain degree, and this is for the people that are dealing with this, and even if you just got to a place of reconciliation, realize there are serious hurts involved, and that person may not trust you right away, but you just got to keep in there and keep sticking at it. My wife for the first year, it felt like that I was going back to square one all the time. It wasn't because I was doing anything. It was because she was replaying everything in her mind. And then we would go back to that. Are you okay? Are you doing things?
Yeah, so we call it a dance. Sometimes it's a couple steps forward and one back during the process, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it does take a while for the spouse to trust someone again. But maybe in another show, what we'll do is there's some steps for how a person can actually learn how to trust again.
Yeah.
Because there are specific steps on how to do that for both people. So the person who hurt, how they can prove that they are trustworthy again, and how the other person can look at some of the check marks and go, okay, they're doing this, this, and this. So, and start that trust process. Because that 4 years, 4 years is a long time. We don't want it to be 4 years. We want that trust to be built up again sooner than that. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because you're living together. And you gotta you got a family, and you gotta deal with it.
Yes.
You gotta confront it head on and work through it, pray through it. And it's a blessing to have a ministry like this, that you're bringing these things out in the open, because a lot of churches and pastors will not talk about this. And I know that this has been an extensive educational process for both you and your husband, Brian. But you do it because you care about people. And
yeah, God laid this ministry on our hearts, and it's a hard one. I can't, just always go out there and cheerlead for, hey, look what we're doing, because like you said, not everybody's receptive to it, because it's something that a lot of people aren't talking about right now. Eventually it will be, just like in years past with other addictions, and when those would come forward, that might be, oh, it's shameful to talk about, but now they talk about it like they're talking about the weather. We hope someday it'll be that way for this, but it's just finally emerging. It's been under the radar for so long that it's just finally now there's just an explosion, because especially with the internet, there's just been so many people who are addicted, can't keep the lid on it anymore. It's just, full blown, and people are just, they don't know what to do. They're reaching out saying, and not just to us, but just their pastors, they don't know what to do. And we're one of very few in this field who are able to help. And, we hope as more and more people start to talk about it and learn about it, that it'll be something that they can discuss. Because I can tell you, I've been surprised by so many people just in my circle circle of influence, who will actually, tell me that they know someone or that they're personally struggling. And the more and more that I see, I'm like, my gosh, I can't believe the numbers of people just that I know. So can you imagine the general public, Christian or non-Christian, that just haven't even dealt with it yet? The numbers are staggering, absolutely staggering.
wow. Well, I hope in our next shows we can cover some of these numbers and discuss some of these things in depth, because you say it's a much needed ministry, and I know that there's, like you said, there's so many layers to this, and we're trying to increase the awareness of it by putting this out, globally, and supporting this ministry. And we just need to get more people to get involved, and tell them where they can go to contact you, or what's the other ways of contacting you?
Yeah, education and knowledge is key. Because if, people are, for so long have just been ignorant to, not purposefully, but they just don't know where to turn, or they go to, I've had too many people even count who've gone to churches or groups or people or whatever, and they're like, I don't know how to help you. And so for years and years and years, people will struggle because they don't know where to turn for help, and which is so sad. But now the great news is there is help and there is hope. And so they can reach us on our website, which is unashamedbygrace.org, or our Facebook page of the same name, Unashamed by Grace. They can also contact our church, which is Living Word Bible Church in Mesa, Arizona, for our class that we have there on Sundays. But
is there a phone number they can call?
Yeah, it's 480-964, and then the number 4 God, which I believe is 4463, but the number 4 and then God. And if they dial 0 and then just say they're calling about the Arizona Unashamed by Grace group that meets on Sunday nights, they can put them in touch with us. But the quickest way is Facebook or our website, as there's places on both where they can send us a message.
Great.
And we'll get right back to them. We take it very seriously. So it's not like, some places you contact and it takes days to get back. We'll get back to you right away, because we know how important this is. And when somebody finally takes the step to reach out, we know they're ready, and we don't want to leave them hanging.
Great. Yeah, because that time creates another problem. If they're reaching out, then they're, if you wait on it, then you miss something. And they feel that they're out there by themselves.
Right. We don't want that. No.
So, Unashamed by Grace, a wonderful ministry right here, brought to you right here on Christian Living Radio. It's a weekly show. We have other... I screwed up. Unashamed by Grace, right here, each and every week on Christian Living Radio. We have additional shows that Unashamed by Grace presents to you to continue this educational process, not just in sexual addictions, but in other areas like moms mentoring moms. Joanne, can you share a little bit on that too?
Absolutely. It was kind of birthed out of our ministry because, we have so many parents and moms contacting us who just needed help, know where to turn for their children or their teens or whatever. So I started thinking, there's really not a mentoring mom show available. So let's create one because not just for addiction, it's just for everything. Moms sometimes aren't connected to other moms. Our church has a great program for mothers, but the Moms of Destiny and different Bible studies that we have. But overall, not everyone is, fortunate enough to have that group of women to really connect with. Especially, a lot of people take jobs, they are military, they move across country, they leave their family and friends. They maybe haven't connected with anybody and they're out there kind of by themselves trying to raise their kids and their families. So we just want to provide a group of moms who are here, lots of experience, strong Christian, godly, wise women to just help the ladies grow up their children, be great moms, be great wives. And so we always welcome questions, which you can go to christianlivingradio.com and submit your questions. And eventually we will have a time where you can actually call in. We'll announce that ahead of time, but we want to help. So the mentoring moms, we're here for you. Young, old, doesn't matter. We're here to help with all the questions that you have about raising your family.
Great. We also have had some other guests on here. That is another great avenue, and it's dealing with sex trafficking.
Yeah.
IDTS, International Defense Training Systems. Tell them more about that and what can they expect, the listeners, when can they expect to hear from them again?
Well, the people that were here, the representatives from that group, we've done a couple shows already. And so you would just go to the Unashamed by Grace tab on Christian Living Radio to hear the previous shows. Those two alone will give you so much information into sex trafficking. I didn't even know everything there was. I thought I did, but I didn't even know everything there was to know about that. And we still haven't even learned everything. Yeah. There's so much more information that they have for us that we couldn't cover in the two shows. But it's a Arizona-based organization. They are going to bring on an author. We have some dates set for 2017. They're going to actually do a monthly show here on Christian Living Radio. But how to protect your kids. You just always think you go to Walmart, you see or the post office, you see all these signs that have these children's pictures. And I ignorantly thought, oh, those are just probably kids from other countries or from other states. How would you even know how to find those? Well, they talk about how it happens in your own neighborhood. I had no idea. And so you have to protect your children from that as well, not just online, but just every day walking home from school. And, this is definitely not doom and gloom that we're talking about. We're just talking about, hey, in 2017, in this day and age, you have to, as a parent, as a grandparent, you have to do a lot to protect your children nowadays. It's really unfortunate. It's not like the days where I grew up where, I played till it was dark and then my parents would yell down the street and hope that I heard to come home. It's not like
Good
that
old days.
Typically anymore. So you have to step up a little bit. There's more things you have to do to protect your children, but we're here to give you the education that you need. So this organization will be doing a monthly show as well.
Great. So there you have it, folks. A lot of great stuff in store for you right here on ChristianLivingRadio.com. Tell a friend. Share us, like us on Facebook. We're on Twitter at CLR_ministry. We're on the Instagram, Tumblr, all these other different avenues. So we can reach you. SoundCloud, you name it. We are trying to get into this social aspect of it so we can reach the masses. And if you're interested in sponsoring Unashamed by Grace or any of our other shows, feel free to contact us at info@christianlivingradio.com or go to our Twitter account and send us a quick little information request, and we will contact you ASAP. This is Kenyatta Goins, Pastor G. We'll see you next week with another great show, the Moms Panel, right here with Unashamed by Grace. We'll see you then, and may God's best be yours. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to ChristianLivingRadio.com. This is Pastor G. Hey, did you know that Christian Living Radio is a non-profit organization and that your contributions to this station are fully tax deductible? That's right, 100% tax deductible. So why don't you give today? Go to our website, www.christianlivingradio.com, and press the Donate Now button. Give generously and help us continue to bless others around the world and be a blessing. I know you want to hear from our great shows we have, and we're adding more every single day. So be a part of our glorious growth and helping the ministry and spreading the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. God bless you. And please feel free to log in and listen to some of our other great shows and content, such as Blended Families Ministry with Drs. Larry and Carol Snap, Fortified Marriages, Live at 5, IDTS, P31 Women, The Pastor G Show, and yes, Unashamed by Grace with Joanne and Brian Pelcher. Fabulous stuff we have here, great content for you. Tune in each week. Tune in daily. We're adding content each and every day for your listening pleasure. And our 24-hour music channel. God bless you, and may His best be yours. We love you.